Sometimes the most amazing discoveries happen exactly where you least expect them. It turns out that all you need to do is look more closely at what surrounds you, and luck is sure to smile on you. In this video, I offer you a selection of the most unexpected and astonishing finds. Enjoy watching. During repairs in a recently purchased house, a man found a pleasant surprise: several dozen rare $2 bills. In these shots, you see a unique Soviet invention, the world's only Lun missile-carrying ekranoplan, combining features of a ship, an aircraft, and a missile system. It was built in the 1980s and launched in 1986. The Lun was intended to strike enemy surface ships with Mosquet anti-ship missiles. This giant is 73.8 meters long, has a wingspan of 44 meters, and stands 19.2 meters high. Today, the ekranoplan is displayed near Derbent in the Russian Republic of Dagestan. A metal detector never guarantees a rare and valuable find, but when luck joins the work, nothing is impossible. This guy was lucky, and he found an incredible treasury with many pieces of jewelry. In April 2024, a two-story house was spotted in San Francisco Bay, drifting on the water for 3 days. But how is this possible? It turns out that it was simply on a barge. A group of researchers spent a long time studying rumors about a mysterious abandoned hangar in the center of a small European town. Eventually, they dared to get inside. What they found exceeded all expectations. The building contained more than 100 decommissioned tanks of different models and production years. An explorer discovered a place in a desert area that had once been someone's home. A small room with furniture had been set up here, and there was also a bus and a car. The owner of this property likely decided to live as a hermit far from other people, but who he was and where he is now remains a mystery. Activists decided to pull the legendary 34 tank out of a river. It had been underwater since the Second World War, so doing this was not easy, but they still managed it. Friends went into the forest to gather mushrooms and unexpectedly discovered a secret German bunker. They dared to go inside and saw that everything there seemed to have frozen in time from when the bunker was used for its intended purpose. A resident of the Bahamas found a bottle on the coast with a piece of paper inside. After returning home, he opened the bottle and took out the message. It turned out to have been written 10 years earlier by a 17-year-old teenager during a transatlantic yacht journey. These divers spent a great deal of time, effort, and money searching for real treasure. At last, luck smiled on them, and their efforts paid off when they discovered Spanish gold coins with a total value of more than $1 million. The once majestic paddle steamer, Spirit of Sacramento, built in 1942, has a very rich history. At first, it served the United States Army under the name Puta, then shown in a film with John Wayne, and later carried tourists as the Mansion Belle. Now it rusts beside a road, recalling a vanished era. Farwell's Dinosaur Park opened in Beaver, Arkansas, in 1967. On an area of 263,000 square meters, there were about 100 life-size sculptures of dinosaurs, cavemen, and other prehistoric creatures. In the late 1970s, a 12-meter statue of King Kong appeared here, the largest in the world at that time. The park closed in 2005 and is now abandoned. The area has become overgrown, and the sculptures are gradually collapsing. A man discovered an abandoned cottage in the forest and decided to inspect it. Inside, he found various dishes, and in one decorative teapot he found coins. It was an unexpected and pleasant discovery. This explorer was not afraid to stick his hand into a crack in the rock, and his courage paid off. A man was looking at Google Maps and noticed that a railroad seemed to break off in the mountains. He went to the location and found part of the abandoned Milwaukee Road line with a tunnel in the rock. This transcontinental line was built in 1909 and stretched for 3,700 kilometers from the Missouri River to Seattle and Tacoma, through the Rocky Mountains and the Cascade Range. It was the longest electrified railroad in the United States, but because of financial problems, the line began to be cut back and the mountain section with tunnels was abandoned in 1984. A tourist traveling through China was amazed to see gigantic unfinished stone blocks in the Yangshan Quarry. They are part of an unfinished project from the early 15th century. By order of the Yongle Emperor, the megaliths were carved for a stele that was supposed to decorate the mausoleum of his father, Zhu Yuanzhang. The plan was to create a three-part structure, 73 meters high, but the blocks, with a total weight of 31,000 tons, could not be moved, and the project was abandoned. In these shots, you see a sea mouse, a marine polychaete worm 7.5 to 15 centimeters long. Its back is covered with iridescent kitten bristles that refract almost 100% of light. These animals usually live on the muddy bottom of the Mediterranean and barren seas at depths of more than 1,000 meters, but sometimes after storms they can be found on the coast. In 2015, during construction of the Crossrail station near Liverpool Street in London, workers discovered a cemetery dating from the 16th to the 18th centuries. Among the remains were victims of the Great Plague of 1665. More than 60 archaeologists began working at the site. They discovered about 3,000 remains, and even deeper beneath the cemetery, various Roman artifacts from the 2nd to 4th centuries CE were found. In the Chinese desert, you can find a real pirate ship. Local residents even invented a legend about it. They say that its crew once disappeared while searching for treasure, and the ship is still waiting for their return to this day. These men discovered an unusual find in a reservoir. It turned out to be a rocket engine from an S-75 anti-aircraft system. An amateur diver made a unique discovery off the coast of Florida. At a depth of about 8 meters, he found a mastodon tusk. The artifact was 1.2 meters long and weighed 31 kilograms. At first, the diver mistook the find for a log, but he quickly understood the value of the discovery. The tusk was handed over to a local museum for study. The flooded Ojamo limestone mine, located 60 kilometers from Helsinki in Finland, is a popular place among divers. The mine was opened in the 19th century, but in the mid-1960s, extraction stopped and it gradually filled with water. This feature is exactly what attracts divers. Today, the entrance to the tunnels begins at a depth of 28 meters, and the maximum recorded depth is 160 meters. Rails, minecarts, and tools have been preserved underwater, making the dives especially atmospheric. The author of this video decided to turn off his usual route during another walk in the forest and discovered a real cemetery of military equipment from the Second World War. During drainage work at a reservoir, workers discovered 9 sunken cars from the 1990s on the bottom. It is quite possible that they ended up here as a result of criminal stories. It seems that no car graveyard on land can compare with the underwater collection of vehicles in this body of water. During a walk in the forest, friends discovered a strange find that reminded them of a fragment of Optimus Prime's body. Researchers traveling through Greenwood in British Columbia always visit this former smelting site. Valuable finds can sometimes be discovered here. The author of this video searches for interesting places on Google Maps. This time, a strange object in the mountains caught his attention, and he set out to investigate. In the end, he found an abandoned mine, but he could not enter it because the passage was blocked by stones. The company Desert Valley Auto Parts restores abandoned retro cars. Its storage yard contains more than 10,000 vintage cars, making it a real find for collectors. These divers expected to see colorful corals and various sea creatures, but instead they came across a sunken light aircraft. A farmer was digging a trench for a gas pipeline and made a sensational discovery. On his property, he found a mammoth skull 15,000 years old. When German colonists discovered diamonds in the Namib Desert in 1908, they founded the town of Kolmanskop. During its heyday, it had villas, a hospital, a school, and a concert hall. The town provided up to 10% of the world's diamond production, but when the resources ran out, it became empty. Today, Kolmanskop is a ghost town, partly covered by sand, although some restored buildings operate as a museum and attract tourists. A tourist discovered an amazing find among the Welsh Mountains in northern Wales. Among dense thickets of plants, a miniature copy of Italy could be seen. Here you can see about 200 statues, buildings, and other works of art. Friends broke into an abandoned garage and found a real treasury of rare cars inside. Among the discoveries were vintage models, luxurious supercars, and even a Formula One racing car. The value of these vehicles is simply incredible, and many collectors dream of the models stored in this place under dusty covers. This train has been among dense thickets on a mountain peak for more than 40 years, but how it got there remains a mystery. In these aerial shots, you can see a huge sinkhole. It appeared in Chile 3 years ago, but it still keeps surprising people with its perfect shape. Instead of sand, the bottom of this body of water consists almost entirely of rusty sunken cars. A man found an abandoned Packard Clipper from 1946. These cars were produced from 1941 to 1957, with a break during the war years. They got their name in honor of fast-sailing clippers. Today, the value of such a restored car can be more than $100,000. Most people can only see tanks from the Second World War in museums, but this diver, during another dive, discovered an American M42 Duster anti-aircraft gun on the seabed. This self-propelled mount with 4 40mm guns was actively used in the 1950s. Now the weapon has become a home for fish and corals. These remains were discovered during another ocean research expedition, but even scientists still do not know who they belong to. It could have been an ancient sea animal, or a representative of a modern species that is currently unknown to science. This find proves how much there is still to learn about the inhabitants of the world's ocean. In 1992, because of the construction of the Lindoso Dam and reservoir on the Lima River, Spanish authorities decided to flood the settlement of Azeredo. About 120 people lived in the village at the time, and they were persuaded to move. Now, when the water level in the reservoir drops, Azeredo periodically appears above the surface. This attracts former residents and tourists. In this way, the flooded village became a landmark. The stalker went to this place for a reason. He decided to see with his own eyes and capture on video weapons of incredible power. MB2 coastal batteries with a caliber of 180mm. Their history began in the mid-20th century. They were installed to cover Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, the bay, and the fleet formations stationed there. On August 2nd, 2025, fishermen discovered an incredible find. Near their vessel were about 50 shipping containers with household appliances. The containers fell from a Taiwanese cargo ship during a storm. Although taking such cargo is prohibited, the fishermen still manage to claim some of the household appliances for themselves. Founded in 1861 near the Tecatacup deposit, the town of Nelson quickly became a center of gold mining. In its time, it flourished, and life bustled in the streets. But after mining stopped in 1942, the residents left it. Now only ruins remain of the town, reminding visitors of the turbulent era of the gold rush, although it still attracts tourists. A man inherited an old house from his grandfather and later learned that a small chest of money was stored in the attic. He decided he had to find the treasure and armed himself with a metal detector. After a careful search, the man discovered the hiding place. Inside were $46,000 in cash, as well as rare securities and certificates whose market value, according to preliminary expert estimates, may exceed the cash amount several times over. Many believe that explorers with metal detectors mostly find only useless objects. However, the story of this searcher proves the opposite. During excavations, he managed to discover a collection of ancient jewelry, elegant gold rings, finely crafted bracelets, and earrings in an old style. In addition, the cache contained 2 pots filled to the top with silver coins from different eras, and even a ritual blade with engraving on the edge. Experts suggest that the hoard may have not only material value but historical value as well. This abandoned Ford, 5 bus from 1948, stood in this place for more than 25 years. Now it looks like a prop for a fan-made post-apocalyptic film. An explorer found a spearhead among rocks and decided to try to find the remaining fragments. He spent almost the entire day doing so, but he managed to succeed. According to expert estimates, the artifact dates to the 6th century CE. I think many people dream of finding treasure, and sometimes it happens completely unexpectedly. For example, during restoration work on an ancient stone wall, these workers found a cache with gold, jewelry, and precious stones. Visitors to the beach of Saint-Brevin-les-Pins were shocked when they saw the giant skeleton of an ancient serpent, 130 meters long, near the coast. It turned out to be an impressive installation by the Franco-Chinese sculptor Huang Yongping. Palindo is a majestic stone statue in the Bada Valley and the largest megalithic monument on the island of Sulawesi. It is one of hundreds of mysterious sculptures whose origin is still a subject of scientific debate. Local residents believe that it is not actually a statue, but a person imprisoned in stone by higher powers for bad deeds. These men discovered a strange find in the forest, a huge rocket stage. Researchers showed what the abandoned Fort Rapids water park in Ohio looks like. It opened in 2006 and was the largest water park in the state. The complex covered an area of 5,500 square meters, and its grounds contained many attractions, as well as a hotel with 300 rooms and conference halls. In 2016, the park was closed forever. In 2022, due to record low water levels in the Mississippi River in Memphis, Tennessee, the sunken vessel Diamond Lady was exposed. The vessel was built in 1991 and became the first river casino on the Mississippi section in Iowa. In 2008, after being moved to Memphis, Diamond Lady sank because the water froze. After that, it was left in the backwaters of the Mississippi. Dogs discovered something strange on the shore, and their owner assumed that a fighter jet may once have made an emergency landing in this place. This steam tug was launched in 1903. It passed through 2 world wars and remains the only surviving vessel out of more than 100 similar ships. Now it stands silently on the Spree River in Germany, like a ghost from the past. researchers discovered an abandoned Royal Canadian Air Force bomber in the forest, or more precisely, what remained of it. During an expedition, the vessel Okeanos Explorer discovered a Japanese mini-submarine on the seafloor not far from the harbor. This discovery was made on December 7, 2016, 75 years after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Researchers showed what one of the bunkers of a defensive line looks like today. These bunkers were built in the 1930s under Benito Mussolini and were meant to protect Italy from an invasion from the north. They were located in mountain areas and included concrete pillboxes, firing embrasures, anti-tank obstacles, and underground tunnels. These shots show the Questor 1 submarine, which was built in 1967 to raise valuables from the sunken liner SS Andrea Doria. After launch, the submarine tilted and got stuck in silt. Since then, it has remained in Coney Island Creek. In the Canadian village of Burkes Falls, a schoolteacher named Peter Kamani spent more than 30 years creating a true wonder. On his 120 hectares of land, he created a surreal art site. Tangled paths, strange sculptures, and giant concrete screaming heads turned the property into a mysterious world where reality intertwines with fantasy. Today, this unique open-air art space is open to visitors who want to see Peter Kamani's creations. On Redbird Reef in the Atlantic Ocean lies New York subway car, Redbird number 90,075. It was sunk in 2008 as part of a project to create artificial reefs. This car is part of a large installation of 714 cars from the R26 to R36 series, which over time became home to many marine creatures. The author of this video bought a small plot near a forest. He decided to inspect the nearby area with a drone and found someone's house there. The man wanted to know who lived in this house and approached it, but it turned out that the structure was completely abandoned. At first, he dared to look inside the house, but then he felt uneasy and decided to leave the abandoned building. A burial site 1,600 years old was found in Japan. A sword 2.3 meters long was also discovered at this place. As historians explain, according to ancient beliefs, weapons were buried with the deceased to protect them from evil spirits. Friends went to look at the aftermath of a volcanic eruption in Iceland and found the wreckage of an aircraft from the Second World War. The wreckage belongs to an American military aircraft from 1943. Before the eruption, it had been hidden from view, and now it finally appeared. Many compared this strange sphere found in the forest to an alien spacecraft. What it actually is remains unknown. One of the most popular places for divers to visit is the SS Thistlegorm, a legendary 128-meter ship from the Second World War that sank at a depth of 30 meters in the Red Sea. Because of an explosion during the wreck, the ship split into two parts. But today, this makes it easier for divers to inspect the holds and makes the dive especially interesting. Underwater, you can see preserved cargo from the Second World War: motorcycles, trucks, rifles, and electric generators. An explorer discovered old rusty rails and decided on an adventure. He followed them even through the most dangerous sections and eventually found an abandoned mine. He decided to inspect the place. Inside, he found mine carts that had not moved for decades. But the most surprising thing was that there were also solar panels, propane cylinders, and wiring. This led the explorer to think that someone might still be using the mine, so he decided to leave as soon as possible. The Yonaguni Monument is a mysterious underwater structure off the coast of the Japanese island of the same name. The monument was discovered in 1986 at a depth of about 27 meters. Because of its unusual shape, resembling a stepped pyramid, the monument continues to cause debate among scientists. Some say it is a natural formation, while others believe it is the ruin of a lost civilization. Adventure seekers discovered a huge vessel and shared footage recorded while exploring this giant. An explorer discovered an abandoned Gothic chapel and crypt from the late 19th century in the forest. These structures looked like fairy tale buildings from some fantasy film. In the South China Sea, at a depth of about 1,500 meters, divers discovered a real treasury. On the bottom were more than 900 unique porcelain and ceramic objects from the Ming era. These unusual creatures are called blue dragons. They are gastropod mollusks from the nudibranch order. Their body length averages 2.5 centimeters, but sometimes it can reach 8 centimeters. Blue dragons live in tropical and temperate waters, and encountering them on land is very rare. The author of this video shared footage from an abandoned store. I think many would agree that it looks like a scene from a film about the apocalypse. The author of the video found a very valuable discovery: ambergris. Ambergris is a wax-like substance formed in the digestive tract of sperm whales. It is highly valued in elite perfumery as a powerful scent fixative that extends the longevity of fragrances. Its price ranges from $10,000 to $40,000 per kilogram, depending on the quality and aging of the ambergris. This explorer, as usual, was searching with a metal detector, but this time luck smiled on him and he discovered a Roman jug filled with ancient coins. The value of this treasure is estimated at $22,000. The author of this video visited an amusement park called Ghost Town in the Sky in North Carolina back in 2000. Recently, he decided to return to this place, but it turned out that the park was completely abandoned. It used to be noisy and cheerful here, but now the only visitors are tourists traveling through abandoned places. These shots were taken in one of the caves in the Philippines. There, researchers discovered a real treasure. A man from New Zealand decided to walk along the beach after a storm and found the body of a real sea monster on the shore. Some believe it could have been a prehistoric creature, but experts still suggest that it may be the carcass of an orca. Some of the most interesting historical sites in Normandy are the German bunkers that formed part of the Atlantic Wall, a long line of fortifications along Europe's Atlantic coast. These structures, including pillboxes, command and observation posts, and coastal batteries, were intended to repel a possible invasion. The bunkers were camouflaged and supplemented with minefields, anti-tank obstacles, and other defensive elements. Using Google services, an explorer found the exact coordinates of an abandoned submarine. He went to the place and made his way inside the submarine to show viewers what condition it was in. At an old airbase in Arizona, an abandoned McDonnell Douglas MD-80 aircraft, nicknamed Mad Dog, has been standing for more than 15 years. The 45-meter airliner, which once served American Airlines, is now slowly living out its days in an abandoned state. From time to time, tourists come here to capture the aircraft against the desert horizon. An explorer visited a cave that served as the home of a hermit named Bob Stinson from 1929 to 1951. This man fully adapted to life, far from civilization. He hunted predators almost with his bare hands and gathered herbs. Despite all the hardships, he lived a long life. Researchers decided to show what an abandoned ship looks like after ending up in the jungle because of shallowing. As expected, the vessel had suffered severe corrosion, and everything inside had turned into real junk. A man found old railroad tracks in the forest running through the trees. He decided to follow them and soon saw an abandoned locomotive swallowed by the forest. This stone is one of several in the world on which a clear human footprint can be seen. The size of the print is impressive and measures 120 centimeters. Such tracks suggest that millions of years ago, real giants may have existed on our planet. A diver discovered a sunken car on the seabed and even joked that the owner of the vehicle had probably forgotten about the handbrake. A diver specially visited the island of Vis in Croatia to look at an American heavy bomber from the Second World War, the B-24 Liberator. Lake Kandy, in the Tian Shan Mountains of Kazakhstan, is one of the most beautiful places in the world. The turquoise surface of the mountain lake frames the trunks of Tian Shan spruces, partly hidden underwater, giving this area a unique and mesmerizing appearance. This unique landscape appeared after the earthquake of 1911, and to this day, it captivates travelers with its mystical beauty. After floods, people often discover various cars, but the author of this video did not expect to find a Tesla Cybertruck electric pickup. People once dumped their cars into this canyon, hoping to get rid of them forever, but because of natural factors, they are now visible to everyone who comes to this place. An explorer went to an abandoned airfield. There he was able to examine in detail a Soviet and Russian Mi-8 helicopter, as well as military aircraft and even ammunition. This boat was abandoned in a completely dried-up river, but whoever left the vessel here even tied it up so it would not float away. An explorer discovered a unique find: equipment from 1905. It was used at a gold mine to provide power. A man discovered an abandoned cabin in the forest and decided to explore the nearby area. Approximately 100 meters away, he found a mysterious pit that looked like an animal burrow. The explorer dared to dig it out, and when he climbed down inside, he saw that an entire system of secret tunnels was hidden underground. This discovery shocked him. This cliff in China's Hubei province may seem perfectly ordinary. However, if you look closely, there is a temple inside it. This is probably one of the creepiest Australian installations. Just imagine traveling through a forest full of giant insects and suddenly seeing such a frightening scene with a doll. I think many of you would definitely be scared. Seeing United States military vehicles in a museum is one thing, but finding such vehicles abandoned in a forest and getting the chance to inspect them inside is something completely different. The owner of this house accidentally discovered a collapse on his property. He decided to investigate the hole with an excavator. During the work, it turned out that a real bunker was underground. A young married couple bought an apartment and began renovating it. While replacing the ceiling, they discovered impressive stucco molding from the middle of the last century. These tourists hoped to see Arctic animals, but instead, they found only scattered rocket stages. This van was found in the forest. Once, it faithfully served the FBI, and now it will remain forever rusting in this place. The author of the video simply went for a walk in the forest and strayed a little from the usual path. There he discovered an incredible find: a combat shell from the Second World War. A hotel guest noticed a strange passage in the wardrobe of his room. He decided to open the door and saw that a secret room was hidden behind it. Despite his curiosity, the man decided not to continue his investigation and simply asked to be moved to another room. For many people, a dump of old cars and machinery seems like a place full of ordinary junk, but among the vehicles there are truly expensive examples whose value is measured in millions of dollars. This tourist filmed the remains of the Douglas DC-3 from Northeast Airlines Flight 792. On November 30th, 1954, the aircraft was flying from Boston to Berlin, New Hampshire, but during a snowstorm it crashed into the southern slope of Mount Success. On board were 4 crew members and 3 passengers. Everyone survived the impact, but 2 people later died from their injuries. The survivors were found only on December 2nd. Off the coast of India, an unusual creature was caught with the body of a fish and the head of a dolphin. The footage clearly shows that it is not a stuffed specimen, since the creature moves its mouth. Unfortunately, no one was able to identify this fish. Using a drone, an explorer discovered a long-forgotten ship in dense jungle. Over the long years, it had been completely swallowed by vegetation. Recently, footage from the archive of 1987 was released online. It was taken during a military aircraft flight over the Amazon jungle. The video clearly shows a flying saucer, which raises far too many questions. The author of this video shared a touching moment from his life. Instead of gold bars and jewels, he found a Christmas gift from his parents that had been lost 20 years earlier. The author of this video explored a glacier located far from settlements. When he reached this place, he was shocked to find rusty metal barrels and other items there. How they ended up on the remote glacier remains a mystery. Australia is known for a huge number of giant insects and many snakes, but creepy animals in this country live not only on land. Just look at the fish that was caught at a depth of 4,000 meters near the Australian coast. This strange creature has no eyes at all, and it looks less like a fish than an alien being. That is all from me. If you liked this video, do not forget to rate it, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell. For me, your activity is the best reward. Thank you for your attention. See you soon. Bye.